Welcome to the last episode of our Crime Focus podcast, where we explore some of the most intriguing cases from around the world. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive into the murder case of a prominent businessman in a small town in the United States. The principal notice: the victim, John Smith, was a successful entrepreneur who owned a chain of supermarkets in the area. He was found dead in his home one morning with multiple stab wounds to his chest and back. The police immediately launched an investigation, and after weeks and digging, they identified a suspect. The suspect, Peter Jones, was a former employee of John Smith Company. He had been fired a few months prior to the murder and had reportedly held a grudge against his former boss ever since. The police were able to gather enough evidence to arrest Jones, including fingerprints found in the scene and witness testimony. During the trial, a was revealed that Jones had been planning the murder for weeks. He had used his knowledge for company security system to sneak into a Smith home indicted. He had also purchased a knife gloves to use in the attack. Despite Jones' claims of innocence, the jury found him guilty of murder in the first degree. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The victim's family was relieved to finally see justice served, and the town was left in shock by the brutal crime. My opinion about this crime is as we reflect on the tragic case, it's important to remember the importance of the Bill of Rights, which guarantees the right to a fair trial for all Americans. Additionally, this case highlights the need for self-regulation and compliance with statutory laws, such as the Highway Code, that prevent crimes from occurring. Furthermore, it's crucial for companies to have proper protocols in place to protect their employees and customers. Tick box exercises and unenforceable policies are not enough to prevent crimes like this from happening. As referees rules state, a company should take a bindingly pro- proactive approach to security and ensure that all employees are properly vetted and trained. Finally, it's important to recognize the progress that has been made in the fight against discrimination and hate crimes, such as anti-sodomy laws that have been struck down in recent years. However, we still have a long way to go in the terms of creating a safe and equal society for all.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of our podcast. My name is Angie Medina, where we will be discussing crime, kidnapping, and other crimes against in the law in Colombia. This country has had a long and troubled history with crime, and it's important to shed light on these issues so we can better understand and act to prevent them. Today we will be focusing on child abduction, news and games that kidnap children and all kind of people. Colombia has been grappling with the issues of child abductions for many years now. In 2019 alone, there were over the 1 dozen report cases of child abduction in the country. One of the most notorious cases was the kidnapping of a 7 years old girl in the city of Bogota. The girl was abducted from her school and was later found dead. This case shocked the entire country, and I led to widespread protests and demands for better protection for children. One of the main issues in Colombia's fight against crime is the lack of a robust legal system that can effectively pursue criminals. The rule of law is often weak, and corruption is rampant, making it difficult to hold criminals accountable for their actions. The government has tried to address these issues by implementing new laws and protocols, but progress has been slow. One significant step towards improving the legal system has been the creation of a normative system for criminal proceedings. This system established rules and guidelines for criminal trials and ensures that they are in a fair and transparent manner. However, it will take time for the system to be fully implemented and enforced. Another challenge in Colombia fight against crime in the rise of organized crime groups that engage in kidnapping and other criminal activities. These groups are often difficult to track down and bring to justice due to their sophisticated networks. In recent years, the government has taken steps to combat these groups. It's important to note that crime in this country is not limited. No child abductions and organized crime groups. There are many other crimes, and these crimes often go unreported, and the victims are without justice. Don't forget that we all have a role to play in combating crime, and it's essential to act when we see something suspicious and report. And um, we must also support efforts to improve the legal system and hold criminals accountable for their actions. In conclusion, Colombia is facing significant challenges when it comes to crime and kidnapping, particularly regarding child abductions, news, and crimes. Although progress has been made, there are still much work to be done to strengthen the legal system, combat organized crime, and protect the most vulnerable members of society. Remember, we all have a responsibility to act and support efforts to improve the system of law in Colombia. Let's work together to bring about a breather and safer sunset for all Colombians.
Hello, I'm Karen Paula Rodriguez. Today, we will be discussing a case that highlights the importance of equal protection under law, as well as the role of protocol and code of conduct in ensuring health and safety. In this particular case, a group of workers at a factory were subjected to inhuman working conditions that violate several normative standards. The factory owners had failed to adhere to health and safety protocols set by government, and as a result, the workers were exposed to several hazards that affected their well-being. Despite several complaints made by the workers, the owners of the factory continued to act in the manner that was detrimental to the health and safety of the workers. They had even violated the civil rights of the workers by subjecting them to long hours of work without proper remuneration. Eventually, the law caught with the owner of the factory, and they were prosecuted for their crimes. The prosecutors were able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that factory owners had acted with malicious intent and knowingly put the workers at risk. The court ruled that the owners had violated several laws and had acted against the interests of the workers. They were subsequently fined and ordered to adhere to protocols and code of conduct set by the government. In this case, it highlights the importance of the equal protection of the law, as well as the need for systems to ensure that normative standards are adhered to. The workers were able to receive justice because the law was on their side and because the system was able to hold the factory owners accountable for their actions. In conclusion, this case serves a reminder of the importance of the following protocols and code of conduct to ensure the health and safety of workers. It also highlights the need for systems that is able to protect the rights of individuals and ensure that they receive equal protection under the law.
Hello to everyone who listened to us. I'm Mariana Alvarez, and today in this podcast, we will talk about the different crimes that happened today in the world. So, welcome to the episode of True Crime Chronicles. Today, we'll be exploring an heinous crime that shook a small town to its core. We'll delve into the details of the crime, the investigation that followed, and the legal repercussion that ensued. In 2017, the sleepy town of Milford was rocked by the discovery of a brutal murder. The victim, 25 years old, Sarah Johnson, had been found dead in her apartment. The police were called to the scene by Sarah's neighbors, who reported hearing loud noises coming from her apartment in the early hours in the morning. When the police arrived, they found Sarah lying on the floor, covered in blood. The initial investigation revealed that she had been strangled to death. The police so identified as suspect Sarah's ex-boyfriend, Jason Evans. He was known to have a history of violence, and Sarah had filed a restraining order against him just a few months prior. The police were quick to act and arrested Evans the same day. He denied an involvement in the crime, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. The murder weapon, a cord, was found in his possession, and there were marks on his hands that suggested he had struck someone. The case was brought before the court, and Evans was found guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The administration of justice has prevailed, and the town of Millfield could finally breathe a sigh of relief. This case highlights the importance of following protocol and regulations when dealing with crime. The police followed their rules and normally weighed the necessary evidence to make a solid case against Evans. The legal system worked to ensure that justice was served and Evans was held accountable for his heinous act. This case also highlights the need for a code of conduct in relationships. Sarah's decision to file a restraining order against Evans was approved the step to protect herself. Unfortunately, it was not enough to prevent her tragic death. It's essential to recognize the sense of abuse in the relationship and take action before it's too late. In conclusion, this case remains as the what we must act against crime, and we must follow the law to hold preparation accountable. The administration of justice is paramount in maintaining law and order in our society.
Let's make sure we continue to uphold the code of Punto and regulation that keep us safe. So thank you for joining us for this episode of your Crime Focus podcast. We hope that this case serves as a reminder of the importance of justice, safety, and equality for all. Join us next time as we explore another fascinating crime case. See you soon.